Poinsettia. This is definitely an interesting one. It's the third novel I published. And I had fun experimenting, but it's going to be torture to read. First off, it is a dark fantasy, dark historical fantasy, however you want to see it. I think it has an interesting storyline, but I wanted to try to add the Scottish brogue accent in phonetically, and it was awful. It was a pain in the ass to write and a pain in the ass to read. So I don't do it too often anymore, especially with such a wild phonetic system. It's just a little weird. So you get to see my total epic fail at trying to write accents phonetically. And for any Scottish readers, Scottish fans, listeners, what have you, sorry. Sorry. Now this story is set in 1897, and I did this deliberately because that was the year that Bram Stoker's Dracula was published. And Poinsettia is a story that involves a vampire. So I did a lot of research in the 1800s, the style, and I tried to do some research on the area. Somehow we ended up choosing Strathaven, Scotland, even though the layout is all fictional. In fact, I actually didn't realize until afterwards that there was a place called Strathaven Castle, and the castle that I put in this fictional version of Strathaven is called, I think it was McIntyre Castle. It was McIntyre Castle. And then in the quote-unquote present day of the story, which is 1897, it's called St. Raphael's Children's Hospital and Children's Home, or something like that. Children's Home and Hospital. And it's basically a hospital / orphanage run by, and we get into this in the story. But mostly I wanted everyone to have the heads up that I'm probably going to butcher my own phonetics trying to do this accent. And at least like 2 or 3 characters use this accent, with one of them being one of the main supporting characters, Angus. Not only is the accent an issue, but like I said, because I don't know the layout of Strathaven, and I know that there's maps and stuff, but it's not the same as knowing. I don't have a personal experience. So because of this, and though no one has said anything, I always feel very anxious about it. So from this story on, I try to create fictional towns and fictional places. Even if it's set in the quote-unquote real world, I'll add a fictional place so that I don't have this awkwardness. So this was a big project for learning what to do and what not to do with my own skills. And you get to see it. Yay! But all that being said, let's talk about the cover. Most of the cover I did. Like, I did the coloring, and I did the snow globe in the background. I did the actual cover layout. The actual pot of poinsettias, the sketch for it was done by my friend Sarius. He does some art for me sometimes. If I have trouble with something, he'll do sketch art, or he'll do the icons and some of my stuff. You'll probably remember me mentioning him. I think I mentioned him when I did the Karasu collection. He did a lot of the icons for that. So even if you didn't actually hear me read it, if you have a physical copy or a digital copy, you'll be able to see all those little pieces he's done. And Sarius is a name you will hear again, not just in this project, but future ones, because I like his work. He's just one of my go-to people. Him and my friend RJ, you know, they do good work. So yeah, Sarius did the sketch of the poinsettia, and Sarius is also contributing to the novel by adding a poem in the beginning. It's before the actual beginning of the story. The story behind that is that I had way too many blank pages and I couldn't fix it because I was still using the template CreateSpace had at the time, and you know, I didn't quite feel comfortable going it on my own yet, so it was a little awkward. And to fill in that space, I had asked Sarius, hey, could you throw together a poem for me and I'll just stick it in there so that there's something there. I don't have so many blank pages in the beginning. So he did that. So I'm going to be reading that poem. By the way, the image on the back cover, if you have a physical copy, a paperback copy, you may notice a photo on the back, darkened out. That, I believe, if I remember correctly, it's been a while, I believe that is part of Strathaven Castle. I would consider this, I'm not going to do this as a separate video. I'm going to go ahead and add it into this video because it'll throw off my chapters. So let's go down here. And this is the poem that Sarius wrote for this story for me. 'Tis the season for the world to sleep deeper under its powdery pale blanket. Snuggled from this cold do we hold crimson stars to warm our souls. They can be touched, but should not, or their points may fall off. Peppermint and nutmeg speak the season to most, but those hearts haven't seen our treats. Our lights are not from the sky where Santa flies. Can't you see the heart in the flower, how its pattern explodes? A scent that lingers and tells you it's time to get the gifts ready for Yule's night. Let the red flow over your hands, our precious poinsettias. And again, that was written by Sarius, specifically for this novel. I think it's nice as a standalone piece, but it does touch on some of the things that happen in the story. Sarius actually got a chance to hear the story during the editing phase before I formatted it for publication. Sarius is part of my group of people I read to when I'm ready to start my edits, proofreading, and all that stuff. It helps me to catch my spelling mistakes and my punctuation errors and so forth. So Sarius is one of those people who gets to hear the story before it becomes a story for y'all. And yeah, I said y'all. So you may see some things in the story. If you catch it, you should. I mean, they're pretty out there. They're pretty obvious. You should see where Sarius got a lot of the inspiration for some of the parts of the poem, and then other parts are just really artistic parts that he added. I like the way Sarius does his poems because I just do rhyming crap, and Sarius has a little bit more of an artistic flow that feels more, I don't know, it doesn't feel so elementary. It feels like he actually knows what he's doing, whereas when it comes to poetry, I don't. And for anyone who has read or heard the poetry that I've done, you know, it's very childish. But anyway, that is the poem that Sarius has written. You see the cover that Sarius and I have done. And I have told you a little bit about the story and about the wonderful audible adventure you will all get to experience and I will get to suffer through. And of course, remember, you have the freedom to leave comments and tell me what you think. You know, is it good? Is it bad? Do you like this part? Do you not like this part? Why? You can ask questions for afterwards. You know, I try to do a Q&A for these. I know I'm a little behind as of the time of this particular recording. But, you know, don't be afraid to do that. You know, go ahead and interact with me. I like that. And of course, don't forget, I also have the Ravyn Reads Facebook page, and I have a Ravyn Karasu author page, plus my regular account, one who's already my friend on there, you know that. But I have several actual Facebook pages for the different things, but I digress. There is an author page, and there is a Ravyn Reads page on Facebook if you wish to check those out. Just search Ravyn Karasu, and you know, you'll see a weird profile picture. That's probably to my regular account. I don't add just anybody though, but you will see one that says author Ravyn Karasu, and that's my author page. You're free to interact with me on that. Just look up Ravyn Reads, and don't get confused. It's Ravyn Reads, not Ravens Reads. There is another group. It's called Ravens Reads, and it belongs to someone else. Ravyn Reads is mine. It has a painting of one of my characters, Remy Rem, on it. So now that we have all that, let's hop into this fun little story.